What's up guys and welcome. You are watching Fazi Fitness. So let's start this video with the 3 weeks of physique update of the Egyptian tank, Hassan Mustafa. So the show that he is doing next is Vancouver Pro. And that is the show that Hassan won last year as well. And that is the show where he secured his Olympia qualification in 2023. So he was able to beat Stanimal in that show. And although Stan was in a far better condition than Hassan, but the difference in the overall size, in the overall muscle mass, that was just way too much. And Hassan was also in a decent enough condition. And that is why the judges gave him the nod. Now, this update that Hassan Mustafa just posted, looking at this update, I have to say he's gonna have some really hard time against guys like John Jewett, Stanimal, and not to mention Beef Stew as well. Because all these guys are gonna be absolutely shredded. Plus, I have to say there is something wrong with Hassan in this update. He looks extra blocky, very square-like, with very little free factor, which we all know is his strongest point. So this is a guy who has the ability to dominate this Vancouver Pro lineup. But only if he brings the condition, only if he brings his A game, and if only he peaks 100% right. Otherwise, like I said before this year's Toronto Pro, he has the ability to win that show. But if he isn't on, he is going to drop outside of the top 3 as well. And that is why he placed outside of the top 5 at Toronto Pro earlier this year. And that is a big question mark on Hassan Mustafa, how he is going to show up here. Because any of these guys I just mentioned, they have the ability to win this show. We have talked about Stanimal as well as John as the potential contenders here. But do not forget about Beef Stew either. Because if he is able to bring that neo-pro look, if he can duplicate that kind of condition, he is going to be a force to be reckoned with in this kind of lineup. So Stew has plenty of muscle, he has a lot of mass. Plus, he has some really good lines as well. So keep an eye out for him. Now coming back to Hassan, I have to say he seriously needs to speed up the process. And yes, I know these guys know better than me, but looking at this update, it seems like they need to make some drastic measures. Maybe go 0 carbs or something like that. Because if he wants to be in that top-notch conditioning, they need to speed up the process. Michal Krizo out there enjoying some off time with his family. Now, as a bodybuilding fan, this was a terrible news. That he won't be competing at this year's Bodybuilding Pro. And more important than that, he won't be there at this upcoming Mr. Olympia. I mean, the guy is top 7 in the world right now. So there were some expectations, of course. But maybe if he continued to push, continue to compete, that shoulder injury could have turned into a more serious one. And we all know health is always the #1 priority. So who else out there believes that the Prague 2023 version of Michal Krizo that could have won this show in Spain quite handily? So now we are looking at another few months of Michal Krizo with no physique updates. All he has got to do at this point is to take care of this injury and hopefully get back to the bodybuilding stage in that post-Olympia tour this year. And the show that he's going for, that is Prague. And Krizo needs to win that show because he needs a full off-season at this point in order to specifically improve his back. The disparity in his back compared to his front, that was highlighted so much, especially when he was standing next to 2 guys with incredible backs this past weekend in Spain. Because we all know that guy has such tremendous development of some of the body parts. His arms being some of the best in the world, and not just right now, in the history of the sport. So compared to that, his back is genetically a very weak area. And the thing is, that is never gonna be as impressive as the rest of his body. But he needs to close that gap, especially if he wants to move up the ranks at the Olympia level. So we wish him a very speedy recovery, and hopefully we will see him back on the stage at the end of this year. Behrooz fires one last update before stepping on the stage in Italy. So we are now less than 24 hours away before we see these guys battle it out for the Olympia qualification. And I have to say the hype and the curiosity on who among these top guys, Behrooz and Nathan Yesha, is gonna win that show. That is so real. So that conditioning from the back that Behrooz is showcasing here, everything is looking so ripped and so striated. So this is gonna be extremely hard to beat, especially by a guy like Nathan Yesha, or by anyone else for that matter in that lineup. Because there is a general consensus that Behrooz and Nathan are a different level compared to the other guys. And we all know throughout Nathan's career, he never had such deep hamstrings, and even though he has made some progress in that regard, but this is an area where Behrooz is gonna beat him quite comfortably. But it is gonna be a fight from the front, and that will be extremely close, because Nathan has those deep lines, and not just in his quads, he's very complete top to bottom in his front shots. He has a lot of density, a lot of muscle maturity, plus he has a very small waistline. So these 2 guys have competed against each other just once last year, and that was at Romania. where Behrooz came out ahead and he was able to beat Nathan Diasha very comfortably. But Nathan Diasha missed his mark big time for that one. So here Nathan Diasha is most probably gonna be very on. His body is really fresh and he's fired up to win Italy for the third time in his career. Next up, we have an update from Rubiel Mosca, aka Nextella. So him doing those cable crossovers and his chest showing all those striations and detail, that gives us a great hope that Nextella is gonna bring his A game to Dubai Pro, and that is gonna be in less than 4 weeks time now. So Rubiel is a true representative of the freaks. I mean, the guy is the freaks of freak. He has so much muscle, so much mass, so much size, and that too everywhere. So he was in a great condition at Prague last year as well. And his trainer and his coach at that time, Kross, said that he could have been a lot better than that. So if that is the case, and it should be, because Rubiel arrived in Kuwait at 14 weeks out of the show, and he has been very focused throughout this prep, plus the fact that he stayed in a phenomenal shape throughout his off-season. So do not be surprised if Rubiel actually comes in a better condition than what we saw at Prague last year. And if he can bring a better condition than that, he is gonna give these two guys, Behrooz and Nathan Diasha, a serious run for their money at Dubai Pro 2024. So Rubiel is one of the most exciting talents that we have seen come up in the last 1.5 years. And he definitely belongs on the Olympia stage. So hopefully he has a plan B, in case if he doesn't win this Dubai Pro, because it isn't a guarantee that he can beat guys like Nathan Diasha and Behrooz. Lastly, a physique update from Jon Roso, who is looking very much in the striking distance to jump in a show that are around 4 to 6 weeks out mark at this point. But as of right now, the only show that we have heard that he's gonna do next, that is gonna be Tampa Pro. So Jon is a perfect example that for some athletes, it is all about finding that right coach. Because Jon just started working with Patrick last year, and the improvements that we have seen in his physique during this time span, they have been undeniable. They have been so impressive. And it is even more impressive that a guy who has been a pro for more than a decade now, he's presenting his best looks now, after 10 plus years. Because Jon has never looked this ripped and this shredded, like he showed up for this year's Arnold Classic in Ohio. So not only was Jon able to build up some thickness, but all the shows that he has done with Patrick, his conditioning has always been spot on, and he has been improving with each passing show. So Jon was placed 4th at this past Arnold, when everyone counted him out. So he has all the goods to win Tampa Pro, and his goal is to step on the Olympia stage this year. Because the last time we saw him on the Olympia stage, that was back in 2019. Yes, he hasn't been on the Olympia stage for almost 5 years now. So hopefully we will see him back on the biggest bodybuilding stage this year. So hit the thumbs up button if you liked the video, and smash the subscribe button if you wanna come back for more. Thanks for watching.